Today, I'm going to be sharing with you my entire Cosmos portfolio for 2024, which might turn out as a very bullish year for crypto. We have a lot of catalysts piling up, the ETF approval, which is imminent at this point, as early as next week, the Bitcoin halving, which is a major event for Bitcoin that only happens every 4 years. We have US elections coming up, of which many candidates are actually pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin. And we also have a president now in Argentina that is very pro-Bitcoin. Macroeconomics is relieving, inflation rates going down. So taking all this together, I think 2024 is going to be a very bullish year. But to be very honest with you, holding Bitcoin or Ethereum at this point, I think, is not going to bring you life-changing returns. Bitcoin at best is probably going to pull a 10x, which would make it a $400,000, $500,000 price tag. Ethereum is probably going to outperform Bitcoin as it always does, probably doing a 15 or 20x from here. But also that's not really life-changing gains, right? So you really have to go down the list. You really have to bet on certain narratives, categories, verticals within crypto that are very under the radar today, but they might blow up in the next bull run and really get you 100x, 200x, 500x, or maybe even 1000x, right? So you subscribe to this YouTube channel because here's where you get the most alpha and deep content around Cosmos and the Cosmos ecosystem. And especially in the past couple of weeks, I have noticed a huge inbound from a lot of developers, content creators, KOLs, you name it, that are putting Cosmos on their 2024 roadmap, on their 2024 ecosystem that they're betting on, right? I've been covering Cosmos in 3 years now, ever since IBC, before IBC went live, and we've been tracking the creation of Cosmos in real time here on this YouTube channel. So let's get started. I'm going to be sharing with you my entire Cosmos portfolio for 2024. First off, we have to talk about the specifics and uniqueness of Cosmos. Cosmos pioneered the concept of app chains, and the Appchains Thesis says that there's not one chain to rule them all. There's not one chain that is the base chain that accrues all the value on which everything is built on top of. Cosmos is really about sovereignty and interoperability. It's an ecosystem of sovereign layer 1 app-specific blockchains that are really optimized and performing for a specific niche use case or vertical, right? So you have, for example, Osmosis that is optimized for DeFi, you have Secret that is optimized for privacy, and you have Axelar that's optimized for interoperability, right? You have all these different use cases, just to give you an example. And in the meantime, we have now 80 layer 1 blockchains, or zones, as they're called in Cosmos, that are interoperating to each other through Cosmos IBC. So I think this helps you understand the basis on how to approach your investment philosophy into Cosmos. And by the way, at this point also, of course, none of what I say is financial advice. You're old and mature enough to take full accountability of your own investment decisions. All I'm doing here is sharing my personal strategy for 2024 and how I position myself in this ecosystem, which is Cosmos. And for that, I actually created a little sheet here, which is a snapshot of the current state, right? It's also, of course, important to state here that this is the current state with the knowledge as of today. If you're watching this video 6 months from now, things will definitely look much, much different. There's going to be things that I'm right about. There's also going to be things that I'm wrong about. Starting with the Cosmos Hub Atom, which is currently the biggest position in my portfolio, roughly 15%, still has a decent staking APR of 14%, even after the inflation halving proposal has passed and been implemented. $4.4 billion fully diluted valuation. And the narrative or the catalyst for Atom to really pump next bull run is that Atom is positioned as an interchain service provider, right? Atom is sharing security now, a feature that went live earlier this year, 2023. And Atom is securing now Neutron and STRD which is already live, and potentially Noble next. And Noble is the USDC issuance chain, and potentially also more assets to come. but this would be big. And I think also Atom is decentralized governance money, interchain capital, right? It's the main collateral on all DeFi applications in Cosmos. And eventually it will also rent out liquidity. And also Atom is the base token for airdrops, right? It always has been and potentially also will be for 2024. So I think those are decent catalysts for 2024. I also don't think we need 100 consumer chains. We'll probably just need 5, 6 solid ones, maybe even EVM hub, maybe an interoperability hub, right? Maybe something like Picasso network that could migrate, something like that. But yeah, what is my benchmark? My benchmark here is Polkadot, Ethereum, and Cardano. Polkadot would be the closest one to be comparable to Atom. And here's where I think how high this can go and how likely I think that this is actually going to happen. So the price here is the equation of the market cap peaked, and this is absolutely Pico bull run price target potential, $200 billion, thinking that Cardano ADA reached a $100 billion market cap in the previous bull run, 2021, when there was literally nothing but a freshly launched mainnet. I think $200 billion Atom market cap in a next bull run, when the tide is much higher, you also have to think that the entire crypto market cap is going to be around 10 trillion minimum, much bigger than that, I guess, 10, 15 trillion, also surpassing gold here. Gold alone is at a $12 trillion market cap. So I think that all is factoring in here, of course. But yeah, this would give it a price per coin at $526 and a potential return of 46x without airdrops, right? It's just pure price performance. Likeliness for me that I think this is going to happen is around 65%. I think there's still a lot of risks, right? Obviously, and this 65% is purely based on whether Atom will actually pull off to attract good consumer chains, to close the Noble migration, to revamp its tokenomics. They need to, there's a lot of proposals that need to pass. So obviously, if we don't have a bull run next year, if Bitcoin goes down to 20K, the likeliness that any of this is going to happen is zero, right? It's like not going to happen. So that's a given. But yeah, I think Atom still needs a lot to catch up on, but I think it's on a good track here. So yeah, but still, I would not make Atom 60, 70, 80, or 100% of my portfolio, right? I wouldn't go all in on Atom because you're not capturing the rest of the ecosystem, right? Moving on, Osmosis, currently 1 billion fully diluted, 10% staking APR, a 12% allocation in my portfolio, and it fits into the DeFi DEX narrative. It's an L1 for DeFi applications. It has its own DEX, but also Levana, Mars Protocol are already deployed on Osmosis. And Osmo is also a decent token for airdrops. The benchmark here is BNB and Uniswap. And I think that Osmo could reach a $50 billion market cap next bull run, which would mean a roughly 50x return from here, and a $80 per coin price tag. The likeliness for that, to be honest, I give it a very high likeliness because they did work a lot on their tokenomics. The team is strong as ever. Sunny is one of the smartest people in crypto. They're well funded. They focus a lot on the right things, I guess. Also, I think in some things they could do much better, but still, $50 billion I think is relatively conservative, considering that we might see $300,000-400,000 Bitcoin. So yeah, Osmo, my second largest holding. My third largest is actually Akash Network, AKT, and I bought a lot during the bear market, and it has bounced very nice, almost at 10x here. Currently at $2.33, $500 million market cap. And obviously, that's the DePIN AI play, right? DePIN stands for Decentralized Physical Infrastructure Networks. So basically connecting real-world use cases with blockchain. Akash is also the first non-finance use case in Cosmos for the technology stack, right? It focuses a lot on building this GPU marketplace and just cloud computing in general. The competitors or benchmark here is Bittensor and Filecoin. I think when the Filecoin launched, they had a $200 billion market cap of something crazy like that. And to be honest, I also think that Akash could reach a $50 billion valuation in a bull run, right? That would be a clean 100x from now, and a price per coin of $233. And I give it a very, very high likeliness, right? Again, this can all go to zero. The downside is always 0, 0, 0 tomorrow like this. But I think the upside here and the risk reward potential for Akash is really, really nice. Next up, we have Sei. Sei is kind of the new kid on the block. They launched earlier in I think October. So 2-3 months on mainnet now. Very, very new. The founding team, a lot of ex-Robinhood people. Great like investor landscape, right? They have multi-coin capital, a lot of the big VCs, big names invested. So this thing already has a relatively high market cap, $4.6 billion, currently trading at 50 cents. Staking APR is also quite low, 4% only. But it's a relatively high allocation by portfolio. Why is that? Well, it's because I invested into the pre-sale here, and I don't have the tokens liquid yet. It's still locked up. But yeah, it is a relatively high allocation here in my portfolio. And the narrative here is really the EVM implementation that they have to execute parallel transactions on the EVM. They're focused on the trading sector, so it's a sector-specific blockchain. And also, I think Sei is going to have a lot of airdrops. Benchmark here, Ethereum, Solana, Injective. My price potential here is $50 billion as well. I think it could even go much higher than that. But yeah, that would put it at a $5 price per Sei token and roughly 11x upside. And I give it a 70% likeliness that this is actually going to happen. Next up, we have Axelar Network, AXL, which we've been covering here on this channel 2 years ago. I actually also invested into Axelar at the pre-sale back in the day. And yeah, it's a 7% allocation in my portfolio. Currently has an 8% staking APR. And the core narrative really is interoperability. The team is very strong. The founding team is actually also founding members of Algorand and some of the best cryptographers in the space, with Sergey and also Georgios. So yeah, Axelar, very strong team. They also have institutional kind of ties, right, and integrations, which is something that's not too common in Cosmos. Cosmos is usually a more retail-focused ecosystem. But yeah, Axelar is really, really pioneers in that game. They're also top 3 IBC hub as of right now, in all Cosmos, and with it in all crypto. The benchmark here is Picasso, Wormhole, and Stargate. Those are kind of the main competitors. And I think Axelar can also reach a $50 billion valuation, which would give it a price per coin of $45 US. So that's a 38.5x return and a 70% likeliness. Next up, we have Stargaze, the NFT marketplace in Cosmos, the first one to launch. We've been covering this long time ago, before Stargaze even went live. We did interviews with Shane. We always kept you posted throughout the past 2.5 years, ever since this went live. And Stargaze has a $75 million market cap. So this is the first kind of, yeah, eight figures, I guess, 8-figure market cap here, below 100 million. I think here it starts to get really, really interesting in terms of returns and upside potential. 23% staking APR, which is still relatively high. So the narrative here is obviously NFTs. And I think NFTs as a category will also have a huge comeback. And then people will ask around, okay, and you know, what's the OpenSea in Cosmos? What's the biggest NFT market play in Cosmos, right? I want to have exposure to both Cosmos, the ecosystem, but also NFT as a vertical. So that's going to be the case also gaming. Not as much though, it's more like generally NFTs and airdrops, right? And here I referred predominantly to Bad Kid NFT holders. We just saw the Namada airdrop given out to Bad Kid NFT holders. I think there's going to be more, right? What are the competitors or benchmarks? Blur, Superverse, OpenSea, of course. So people will ask, what is the OpenSea equivalent in Cosmos? And they will inevitably land at Stargaze. My price potential here, I see is that Stargaze reaches a $10 billion market cap, probably much higher than that, to be quite honest. It reached, I think, a $2 billion market cap in the previous bull run at 80 cents per coin. They also reworked a lot there on their tokenomics, STARS 2.0. And yeah, that would give a price per token at $4 and a 133.3x return. And I just see the likeliness for that very, very high, actually 85%, because Stargaze is just best positioned. They have a very strong team, strong culture, community, bad kids, you name it. And they've been around, they survived the bear market, they're still there. So that's really great, right? And I think similar to Akash, that's also like one category that they're really dominating, right? Akash deep in GPUs, cloud computing, and Stargaze really NFT marketplace and eventually also gaming, right? So Stargaze, a must in every Cosmos portfolio, in my opinion. Next up, we have SOMM, 4.2% in my portfolio. Has a $150 million valuation right now, fully diluted. And Sommelier is a Cosmos chain, but it is actually a decentralized asset management tool for the Ethereum DeFi ecosystem, right? So you can deploy strategies on Uniswap, on all kind of Ethereum DeFi platforms, and earn the best yield on your ETH. And yeah, it's just, I think, an $80 million TVL right now, which comparing it to its market cap is severely undervalued, in my opinion. Where do I see this going? I see that Sommelier could reach a $10 billion market cap as well, giving it a price per coin at $20 US, 66.7x upside. And I also think that there's very, very high chance that this is happening, right? Sommelier has been a project that's in the works for many years, and core Cosmos people like Zaki Manian, Jack Sampolin, Federico from Evmos, Deborah from Gravity Bridge, they've all been working on that. They're all kind of co-founders. Zaki, I think, is the most active here, Zaki and Jack. But it's a very strong project, very strong team, and they also know how to get TVL, right? They have proven that, and I think they will continue to prove that in the bull run. My next project is Passage. Passage is a newer project. You know Passage for a long, long time. If you're a C2 subscriber, we've been talking about this long time ago. I think in August of 2021 was the first time I got on a call with Lex, the founder, and then shortly after that, we also did an interview here and coverage. And Passage is basically the metaverse and gaming play in Cosmos. They're a brand new token that just went live. The main is already live, I think more than a year and a half, something like that. But the token just recently went live. Staking APR 35%. And it is truly a very, very low market cap, right? $40 million US. That's really super low. They also have close ties to Akash Network. Gregor Zuri is a big fan, I think also an investor. And it is also a big position in my portfolio because I also have been an angel investor into Passage, into their round a year and a half ago or something like that. So yeah, that's Passage, Metaverse, and gaming. What is the benchmark? Render, Sandbox, and Axie. I see a potential to reach a $10 billion market cap, which would give it a price per token at $8. And that would mean a 250x upside potential. I actually give it a very high chance. Again, if we factor out that there might not be a bull run, Bitcoin is not doing anything, macroeconomics is still bad, then obviously the likelihood of this happening is zero. But if we are in a bull run, if crypto goes to a $12 trillion market cap, I think Passage could get to $10 billion. I think the team is very strong. They have a great product, and the metaverse and gaming narrative is definitely going to come back, right? I don't think this has died. It's very cold right now, but I think that's where you really want to position yourselves, right? When no one is talking about it, and when people are just calling it that, right? That's where you want to have exposure. Now, next project is Agoric BLD, currently a $180 million market cap, a 2% allocation in my portfolio, 10% staking APR, and it's a general purpose layer 1 blockchain that implements JavaScript. So it's for all JS developers, and there's 10 million of them. So it's a huge addressable market. I think Near also implements JS, so that's kind of the benchmark here. And Near obviously is a multi-billion-dollar protocol today. I think BLD and Agoric can reach a $25 billion market cap, which would give it a $25 price tag and a 139x upside potential. I give it a very high likelihood of achieving that because I think the team is very strong. They're well funded. They survived the bear market. They have a great network. And I think all they need to do now is just land applications, right? They have IST, the interstable token, that needs to really ramp up in terms of liquidity and market size and be deployed across Cosmos DeFi. And they just need more killer applications, right? I think when it also comes to gaming and other narratives, they need to be, they need to have solid applications in that field. My next coin is in fact TIA, Celestia, $12 billion market cap, actually the biggest one here. A 2% allocation right now in my portfolio. Has a 70% staking APR right now. And the narrative here is really modularity and data availability. We've been covering Celestia here since 2 years, since December or November of 2021. I think we're the first YouTube channel, the first content creator to actually cover Celestia on the internet. So yeah, you knew that this is going to be big. So I think that Celestia is really leading that innovation of modularity in DA. And I think airdrops are also going to be a big catalyst, right? Right now, we don't really have a competitor. Near actually implemented DA as well. And we have EigenLayer that can also do Eigen DA, but that's also not on mainnet yet. Celestia could reach a $200 billion market cap. I think it certainly can reach a $100 billion market cap. But given that the market is just going to be much bigger next year and more mature, it actually can reach $203 per coin at a $200 billion market cap, giving it an upside potential of 16.7x, which is also not kind of life-changing gains, but I think this is without airdrops, and I honestly think that airdrops are going to be a big play and big narrative for Celestia next year, where we have Movement Labs, Eclipse, Hyperlane, Manta, Dimension, and so on and so forth, right? Next up, we have PICA, and it has 2 stars here because I'm also an advisor to PICA, so I have 3 advisory roles. This is the first one. We're going to get to the 2 other ones later. But Picasso Network is an interoperability hub, and PICA is actually bringing IBC everywhere. It already has IBC on Polkadot and Kusama. Now it's bringing IBC to Solana and Ethereum, and it only has a $130 million market cap right now. I actually covered PICA since 1.5 years before the PICA token went live. During the time when PICA was a sub $10 million market cap, it was actually there for a long, long time. And we've been covering it here on this channel and on Twitter during that whole phase. And Picasso, 10% staking APR right now, or I think 9.5 or 9. You can stake it on app.trusted.zone. A 1.7% allocation in my portfolio. I bought PICA during the bear market when it still had very high slippage also on their own DEX, Pablo. And obviously, as an advisor, I also have advisory allocation, but that's vested for 2 years. But yeah, that's PICA. Benchmark, Wormhole, Stargate, Axelar. And I think this would be absolute bull case, of course. But if they ship IBC on Solana, IBC on Ethereum, build out this whole ecosystem, and they're first movers on that, PICA could actually achieve a $50 billion market cap, which gives it a price per token of $5 and a 385x upside potential. I give it a very high likelihood. Obviously, of course, I'm biased because I'm an advisor to them. I talk to them a lot. I know about their kind of strategies, their go-to-market, their expansion plans, their growth plans, right? So obviously, I'm very plugged into everything that they're doing. So I'm very bullish on it, and I wouldn't take on advisory roles if I weren't personally fully convinced of, the product market fit and the viability of that project. So yeah, Picasso, huge upside 385x, which, to be honest, that's actually possible. Like I have seen crazier things in a bull run. But yeah, that's PICA. Next up, we have Nolus. Nolus, $60 million market cap. Also a newer project. It's a DeFi lease application, so it's a full-on DeFi application. They just crossed $4 million in TVL, 13% staking APR, 1.6% of my portfolio right now. I placed a strategic investment into Nolus recently. So Nolus is one where I'm personally very convinced by the team, because I think the team is really doing the right things. They're conservative, they understand the market dynamics, but they also see product market fit and build out on that. And they also managed to be successful. As of right now, $4 million in TVL, as I said. And I think this at the end of the bear market is very, very impressive, right? So you could compare this with Yearn Finance or Sommelier as kind of the benchmark. If Nolus succeeds, I think in a bull run, this will reach a $5 billion market cap. And that will give it a price per coin at $7 and an 83x upside potential. I give that a 70% likelihood, because I think also DeFi is going to be very, very competitive. So even if Cosmos blows up as an ecosystem and people will ask, what's the Aave on Cosmos? What's the compound on Cosmos? What's the DeFi landscape like, right? You have a lot of applications, right? And a lot of different ecosystems, right? Within Injective, within Sei, within Osmosis, within Kujira, within XPRT, within all these different ecosystems. So I think, yeah, Nolus is great, well positioned. Again, strong team. I really like them. So yeah, let's see where it goes. XPRT persistence, $75 million fully diluted right now, 15% staking APR. I've been a long time proponent. I really love the team. They're one of the most committed, and one of the most active teams in all Cosmos. And Persistence is a liquid staking hub. And the Persistence team is actually one of the first ones, or actually the first team in Cosmos to do liquid staking. They've been around for many, many years. The benchmark here is Lido, Jito, and Stride. XPRT kind of lagged a little bit behind because Stride just came around and front run them with their launch. But I think still that P-Stake and their whole Persistence ecosystem is catching up. I also think that Persistence has a bit of a different approach. They're also targeting non-Cosmos ecosystems like BNB and Ethereum, while Stride is purely focused on Cosmos. But if Persistence succeeds, I see a potential $10 billion market cap, which would give it a $55 per coin price tag and an upside of 133x. I give this a 50% likelihood to achieve this $10 billion market cap, because I think there's also a lot of competition, like I said, not just for DeFi, but also specifically for liquid staking. I think it's going to be very hard to catch up with Stride. And I think liquid staking is a category where you actually have one clear winner, and then you might have a second bigger player, and that could be XPRT. So let's see. But yeah, I think, again, Persistence also covers other niches and not just liquid staking, but mostly liquid staking. So next up, we have UMEE, lending marketplace in Cosmos, $70 million valuation right now, 15% staking APR. You can compare it with Aave or MarginFi. I think if UMEE succeeds, $5 billion market cap, which gives it a $1 per coin and 71x upside potential. Similar to liquid staking, I see lending as highly competitive within Cosmos already. So I give it a 50% chance. We have Mars protocols and also other lending markets within certain DeFi ecosystems and DeFi chains. UMEE has this interesting proposal right now with Osmosis to merge. So I think that could be a big catalyst to join forces here and fully migrate the UMEE token. Next up, we have Stride, a 1.3% allocation in my portfolio, $2.5 US right now. Liquid staking market leader in Cosmos. around $100 million in TVL. And if you compare it with Lido or Jito, it's still tiny, right? And I think it could reach $10 billion in market cap, which would mean 100 USD per STRD token. And that's roughly a 40x upside from here. And the likelihood for that, I think, is 85%, quite high, because they're already market leaders, right? I think it's going to be very hard to dethrone them, right? Next up, Evmos, $130 million market cap. The founders and inventors of Ethermint, the EVM framework, the first EVM framework that is compatible with Tendermint and Cosmos IBC. Currently, I think they have, gone through a lot. They have also pivoted more towards the Ethereum community, which does not mean they abandoned Cosmos, but I think they're just targeting more the Ethereum debt economy. Competitors are Kava and Kanto. If Evmos manages to succeed and to recover and revive, I think it could actually reach a $25 billion market cap at a very, very, very peak, which would give it a 192x upside potential. And the likeliness for that, I think, is around 50%. We have Kava and Kanto that are already live. Kava has a lot of traction around Tether USDT. Kanto is now also collaborating more with Polygon. And we have Berachain coming up. And Berachain, I think, is going to eat a lot of market shares from the EVM pie in Cosmos. But I think also it will grow the pie. It will also grow the EVM pie for Cosmos. So I think overall, if Evmos manages to remain a leader, they also just announced that they're going to completely revamp their EVM as well, then this could become a big success and a big comeback, right? Roughly 200x returns. Now, next up we have QSR, Quasar. That's my second advisory position that I'm having. $70 million market cap, and we've been covering Quasar also way before they launched even mainnet. We actually launched testnet during a Cito live stream with Vallejo. So that was cool. And Quasar is comparable to Sommelier, with the only difference that Quasar focuses on Cosmos IBC, whereas Sommelier, as I told you, focuses on Ethereum. And Quasar is a new blockchain in Cosmos. They just launched, but they already have $10 million in TVL. They deploy their strategies mostly on Osmosis, concentrated liquidity pools. And I think as Cosmos and IBC DeFi grows, Quasar will also grow, right? And I think that Quasar can also be this liquidity gateway and entry point for Cosmos DeFi in the next bull run, which is why I give it a $50 billion potential market cap peak in the bull run, $86 per coin, which would mean a 714x return. And I also think that Quasar does not really have much competition right now, which is also why I give it a very high likeliness to actually achieving that. And of course, since I'm an advisor to Quasar, I always, try to get insights on the latest, on their strategies, on their roadmap. There's a lot that they're doing. They're super hardworking. They have a very, very good team, very strong team. Also, they have a partnership with Union that is still set to launch mainnet. So I think this could also have a big impact. Next up, we have Mars Protocol, which is a lending marketplace also similar to UMEE, comparable to Aave or MarginFi, and currently has a $220 million market cap. It's also an Xterra project that now launched their own chain. They actually want to sunset that chain and migrate either to Neutron or Osmosis. I give it a $5 billion market cap potential, which means a 22.7x return and a $5 per coin potential, and a 50% likelihood for actually reaching that, right? So yeah, I think same here, right? Lending, I think, is highly competitive. There's a lot of players, and it's hard for me to decide or to bet on one player. It's not as clear as it is with, for example, STRD right now in liquid staking. Lending still has a lot more variety and not one clear market leader. Next up, DVPN Sentinel. Sentinel has been around for a long time. One of the first chains to actually migrate from Ethereum to Cosmos. $50 million market cap. They actually went really, really low in the bear market. I actually thought they might not recover from that, but they did, right? They pulled a 5 or 10x in the past couple of weeks alone. And the narrative here really is all about DePIN and privacy. And I think that's a narrative that's going to be very hot, similar to Akash or Monero. These are all the narratives, right? And secret network, and you have the penumbras, the anomas, right? I think privacy in general is going to be big, but also DePIN is going to be really big. And DVPN just has this killer application for their decentralized VPN for claiming airdrops, right? Because most VPN providers are also centralized in a sense. So DVPN is fully decentralized, and that's one of the core features, right? If we zoom out here, $5 billion market cap in the bull run would give it a price per coin of 23 cents. Right now, it's actually not even at 1 cent. So that is a clean 100x. I still give it only a 40% chance to achieving that, because it's still very low, and I don't know if that VPN use case is enough, but also maybe I'm missing something here. So yeah, definitely a killer application. I just don't know the size of the addressable market and how the team is going to achieve that, right, and pull it off. But yeah, the community is still there. Token price went up, so that's great to see. Next up, the Cosmos problem child, as I like to call it, Juno network. Juno, a general purpose layer 1 blockchain that implements COSM-WASM and is also one of the pioneers for mesh security. Comparable maybe to kind of Neutron, Terra, and Archway. 70% staking APR right now, still around 1% of my portfolio. $75 million market cap, fully diluted. Had a bit of a nice kind of relief. And I believe that if Juno succeeds and gets really, really big and captures substantial market share as being the L1 COSM-WASM permissionless chain in Cosmos, it could reach a $10 billion market cap, which would give it a $97 per coin price tag and a 133x return from here. I still see a very low likelihood of that actually being achieved, because Juno went through a lot. Proposal 16, that whole drama. The community has kind of really faded a lot. There's still a core community, obviously, but I think a lot of people have left and abandoned Juno. I also think there's now a lot more competition, strong competition, with Neutron, Terra, Archway, right? Terra 2.0, the revival, and a lot more L1s that are implementing COSM-WASM. So yeah, I think it's going to be very hard for Juno to come back from that, 2 bear market years. But let's see. I still have it in my also public portfolio challenge, where I keep you posted since 2 years. So let's see. But yeah, I only give it a 25% for Juno to actually achieve a $10 billion market cap. I think the recent pump to 73 cents from, I think it went to 13, 14 cents, has been a great and important sign of life. But yeah, we have to see how things evolve. Next up, we have FLIX, Omniflix, which is also in the DePIN and decentralized media bucket. Currently at $150 million market cap, still very, very high staking APR because they just launched, 120%. I give it a potential $10 billion market cap in the bull run, which would mean a $10 per coin price tag. You can maybe put it into the bucket of Akash Network and Filecoin. I don't really think there's a proper media project out there. FLIX can also do NFTs. They also have an NFT marketplace, so you could actually also add here Stargaze and other and OpenSea, right? It has a lot of kind of benchmarks, but I think FLIX also needs to really nail down 2 or 3 killer use cases and then focus on those, right? I'm very bullish on the team. Some of the hardest working people in all crypto, most committed people in crypto, long-term cosmonauts, and just amazing people to work with, right? So yeah, Omniflix is definitely one of the newer Cosmos coins. Then we have Ion, and I think I'm going to do the rest of the list here a bit faster because it's a long list, as you can tell. Ion is a coin that's natively baked into Osmosis, $20 million market cap. It doesn't really have a clear use case. It has this kind of index token use case, but that hasn't really fired yet. but we'll see how it goes. $5 billion potential market cap in the bull run, which would mean a $225,000 per coin. It's a super, super low supply. I think in the last bull run, it reached $25,000 per coin. So that will be a 10x from the past bull run and a 250x return. Next, we have INJ Injective. Already had a huge rally this year in price discovery, reaching all-time high after all-time high. $3.3 billion market cap, similar to Sei, kind of in that bucket. Super fast, implementing parallel execution, EVM compatible, trading sector, and also for airdrops and meme coins. I think it can reach a $50 billion valuation and a 15x upside potential. And I see a very high likelihood of that actually being achieved. Next up, we have Neutron. I'm very bullish on Neutron. $1.1 billion fully diluted. Currently 0.5% of my portfolio. It doesn't have staking APR because it's secured by Atom, so it's not used for staking. It's a governance token. It's a general purpose blockchain. I just removed the L1 because it's actually secured by Atom, so it's kind of an L2 in that sense. Comparable to Juno, Terra, Archway. I think it could reach a $50 billion market cap. They have very strong investors, strong team. The team behind Lido is actually also the team at Neutron, which would mean a 45.5x return from here. And I give it a very, very, very high likelihood of that actually being achieved, right? Because they have a strong team. They have strong use cases. Astroport, they just acquired 25% of Confio. They acquired a lot of things. And yeah, they're well-funded. It all kind of comes together. And NTRN has decent liquidity on centralized exchanges, listed on Binance and so on, right? Next up, we have Kujira, which also fits into the DeFi, DEX, and kind of airdrops bucket. I think there's going to be a lot more airdrops for Kujira stakers. $550 million market cap. Comparable benchmarks, BNB, Uniswap, and obviously Osmosis. I think Kujira can reach a $25 billion market cap, which would give it a $205 price per coin and a 45.5x upside from here. And actually give it a very high likelihood of 70% for actually achieving that, because they have a very strong team. They have a strong product suite that's already live, and a strong community as well, right? So this is Kuji. Next up, Archway, a newer chain on the Cosmos sphere, general purpose L1 as well, similar to Juno, $230 million fully diluted right now. And I give it a price potential of $9 with a $10 billion market cap and a 43.5x return. Then we have Chihuahua, the meme coin in Cosmos, currently at a $35 million market cap, 25% staking APR. And obviously benchmarks here are Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, and Solana's Bonk. Chihuahua, though, is a standalone L1 that also implements Cosmosm. That's actually a proper base chain for applications. They have the Huaweiverse, they have mini games and all this kind of things. I think this could reach a $10 billion market cap, right? Which would make it a 285x return from here, and a price of around 7 to 8 cents per coin, which right now it's at 0.00027. So that's a decent 285x upside potential. And I give it actually 65% likelihood, because I think meme coins are going to fly in the next bull run. They're flying all the time, right? Now we have a couple of smaller market caps. We have a micro cap here with Comdex, 7.5 million, currently at 5%. They just pivoted towards RWAs, real world assets. And I think if that succeeds, that could be a huge, huge winner and potentially become a $10 billion market cap. I don't think that's a coin to go all in, of course, but it could be an interesting RWA bet in Cosmos and a potential upside of 1,300x returns, right? Given that they're super low market cap, they had a tough time, obviously, during the bear market and pivoted away from what they were previously doing. 50% likelihood of that actually being achieved. But yeah, it could be an interesting mega gainer. Then we have Secret, and Secret is at a $170 million market cap right now. Privacy smart contracts, one of the first ones actually in all crypto, but certainly in Cosmos, the first ones. I think the previously they were called Enigma, and then they migrated and rebranded to Secret Network. Had a very tough time in this bear market as well, but I think they have survived and they're coming out of it. I also think that Shade Protocol, as the killer application on top of Secret, is actually going to be very, very interesting. That has a full-on DeFi suite with a stable token called Silk. Then Secret also has an NFT marketplace and many other things. If Secret succeeds and makes a comeback, it will have a $20 billion market cap and a $63 per coin price tag, which would mean a 117x return. And I think applications like Shade and tokens like Shade that are on top of Secret will even outperform Secret, right? So I think Secret and Shade specifically are ones to keep an eye on. I still only give it a 50% likelihood. I think also that privacy is going to be very competitive in Cosmos next year with Penumbra, with Anoma launching, right? And also Aleph Zero, I think they also want to implement IBC at some point. So that's going to be interesting. But yeah, Secret definitely one to put on your radar. Then we have Regen, one of the best missions in crypto. I keep saying this for many, many years. They're kind of in this deep in and regenerative finance and environment narrative, which has not really fired yet. But I personally think that this will fire at some point in the next 5 years. It's going to be a huge narrative. It's a huge addressable market. Regen is building a carbon credit marketplace and only has a $12 million market cap right now. And the core team at Regen has also been core maintainers for the Cosmos SDK for many years. 23% staking APR right now. And I still have a lot of Regen that I had from long time ago, 0.3% of my portfolio. And yeah, the token price has been smashed. But I think if that narrative gets hot and if Regen makes a comeback, it could easily become a $5 billion market cap chain and pull a 417x return, basically, right? I still give it a very low likelihood of 30%. Difficult narrative, I would say, in category that they're in, because it's also dominated by a lot of players. I think it's also very political, right? So I think it's going to be hard for them, but let's see. I still have my Regen staked. Next up, we have Kava, and I'm not an advisor to Kava, but I'm an advisor to Kinetics, which is a perpetualist exchange on Kava and could become a killer application. Kava right now has a $1 billion market cap, fully diluted. They've been around for a long time. They also implement Evmos's Ethermint framework, so they're fully EVM compatible. And Kava is very, very interesting because they also have native Tether USDT, right? $160 million of Tether USDT minted on Kava. Also in this DeFi DEX bucket, they also have a proposal now that passed that brings down Kava inflation. I think that has always been a big issue, that actually inflation outpaced the staking APR, but that's going to be fixed. And the competitors here are BNB and Uniswap. So I think that if this works out, it could do a 50x and reach a $40 per coin price tag. Next up, we have Rune, third chain, and arguably one of the most successful chains in Cosmos. Already very, very big, $2.7 billion market cap. And Rune is, yeah, one of the probably best DEXs in all crypto. It's a native DEX for native assets. So you have Bitcoin pools, BTC, you have Ethereum pools, ETH, you have Atom pools, Cosmos, right? Cosmos Hub. And you can just swap natively those assets through Thorchain, right? Fully holding self-custody without doing KYC. And that's why it's been so successful. Eric Froese obviously is one of the biggest promoters and biggest fans of their project. You've seen Chad Barraford, the core founder and contributor of Thorchain on this channel here twice. Very, very, very high likelihood to reach a $50 billion market cap, which is an 18x from here. But I think that Thorchain is definitely, yeah, a big player that's already proven to have strong product market fit and to have a big community. Next up, we have Crescent. Initially started as Gravity DEX on the Cosmos Hub with a liquidity module, then migrated away, built their own chain. The team behind Crescent is called bHarvest, which is also a validator and kind of IT consultant in Cosmos. They do a lot of things, but Crescent is their chain, their DeFi platform. They have also an order book DEX. They have liquid staking natively implemented, and only an $8 million market cap, which is super, super low. If this thing reaches a $10 billion market cap, that's a 1200x return, right? So I think similar to Comdex, this is a potential high gainer, obviously very high risk. I only give it a 30% chance to actually achieving that because, you know, same here, very competitive industry, very competitive field that they're in. But yeah, I think CRE still one that it might make sense to have a moon back, right? To at least have a moon back and to observe things. The team is very strong. I've had Jung on the channel here multiple times. We always kept track. They're always building. They're always out there. I just think they need this one thing that really gains them substantial traction. So yeah, let's see. Then we also have Gravity Bridge, Graph token, the bridge for Ethereum and Cosmos, natively implemented in Canto, $15 million fully diluted market cap right now, 14% staking APR. And I think they're comparable to kind of Picasso, Wormhole, Stargate, and Axelar. And this could also be a big, big gainer, right? $10 billion market cap potential, which would mean 666.7x return, but also only give it a 40% likelihood to achieve that. But yeah, Graph also one maybe to keep a moon back. And lastly, we have Iris Network, which is the Cosmos of China. And every cycle always has a China hype phase. It always has a phase where all the China coins start pumping, right? Neo is always going to pump then. Iris always pumps. In fact, Iris is one of the first Cosmos chains and was basically a copy of the Cosmos Hub before it launched IBC. So Iris is an OG Cosmos chain that was maintained and still is maintained, I think, by BNG, which is the software development firm out of China. And they landed some use cases with NFT tokenization with the actual government. The problem in China, though, is that the Chinese government likes blockchain, but they don't like crypto. So I think what you'll see is you'll never see kind of the Chinese government, you know, pumping this, but any positive news that comes out of China related to blockchain will pump China coins, right? And Iris is one of the China coins in Cosmos. So I think this one is going to pump, and we always have this narrative. Every cycle we have it, right? So if this reaches a $10 billion market cap, it could have a 154x return. I give it a very low likelihood of that happening. I don't really see much traction. And given that China is still regulatory harsh with crypto, it's very, very tough to pull off. Now, here I have a list where I'm not really invested. I got small airdrops here, for example, for Levana, I got an airdrop, Jackal, I got a small airdrop. But this is a list here of coins that I think are also, worth a mention at least. For Fetch AI, Band Protocol, for an Oracle provider, or Right Chain, obviously AI and Oracles, Astroport, I think Xterra project, deployed on Neutron and Injective, very, very strong team. Jackal, decentralized storage, I think that's going to be a big, big one, potential big gainer for the next bull run because it only has a $45 million market cap. DYDX obviously launched their Cosmos chain, 3.2 billion, already quite high, but I think, given their institutional connections and liquidity and revenue accrual, this is also going to be big. And Levana just launched a token. I think the value accrual for LVN token is still a bit vague, but could also be an interesting one. So this is my portfolio. As you can see, most of the positions I'm very, very confident in. I think if you were to sort this here by likelihood, you could really see my kind of highest conviction bags, right? Obviously, Akash, Neutron, Osmo are on the top here. There's going to be a lot of new chains, right? Like I said in the beginning, 6 months from now, this video is probably obsolete, right? Because everything will look totally different. There will be a lot of new chains, right? There's going to be Berachain, there's going to be Saga, Namada. All these chains will launch, and market shares always reallocate and change, right? Top potential gainers here are kind of the low cap coins here, right? Comdex, CRE, Quasar, Graph, right? Those are all very, very low market caps. Quasar here, 70 million, the highest one. But yeah, I think there's huge upside. Yeah, I think that's it for today. Just wanted to share with you my outlook for 2024. If you enjoyed that video, please subscribe. I'll see you